Hey there everyone, hey YouTubers, this is your Living Fully Fit coach, Coach AJ, and we're looking at episode 6 of Living Fully Fit, and today we're going to look at spiritual fitness and the aspect of how we feed our soul. What gives us that soul energy, that spirit energy, that spiritual energy to go on our day. So again, if you look at the center of who we are, our spirit, our soul is really what connects to everything else. It connects the mind, the heart, it connects the body, all that. And so we're gonna give you some tips and tricks and give you some ideas on how you can feed your soul. If you're doing it already, great. If not, or maybe you're looking for something else to add on to that your routine, your lifestyle, then great. And we're gonna give you some tips starting today, and just watch, enjoy, and take some notes. And this might help you find that spiritual fitness and also that soul food to kind of fill you up and get you connected with everything else. So before we even get into the idea of spiritual fitness, we kind of have to establish a foundation here and ask ourselves pretty much a few questions here. So one we have to ask ourselves is, where are we at? You know, everybody has a different walk in life. Everybody's going through something different. So in order to feed our soul and feed our spirit and build that spiritual fitness, we have to ask ourselves, where are we at? Because everyone's different, you know? And in order to kind of get into that realm of what we need, we have to ask who we are and where we're at. So where are you at? Are you needing isolation, or are you needing connection? Because depending on where you're at in your life, sometimes you might be overwhelmed and you might need that isolation just to take a breather and be away from people and away from things. Or you're feeling isolated, depressed, anxious, and you need that connection with people. And again, people, connection, relationship builds into our spirit, builds into our soul, right? So again, ask yourself, where are you at? Or maybe even when it comes to your faith, you know, maybe you've been disappointed in church or in, you know, people that you've gone to church with or whatever. You know, maybe that's not the answer for you. Maybe church isn't the answer, but God is, right? So ask yourself again, 1, where are you at? Then 2, once you kind of discover where you're at, then you can look at what you need. So where are you at? Then what do you need? Are you needing a time to yourself? Are you needing those people in your life? And who are those people? And who are those people? And as you start establishing those things more and more and more, then you start getting an idea of what direction you're going to go in order to feel that need and feel that void in your soul and your spirit. Because again, if your spirit is empty, everything else around you in your life is going to disconnect. Your mind, your heart, your physical body, everything's going to disconnect and everything's going to be affected. It's that domino effect. Our spirit is the core and center of us. So if it's not being fed well, everything else is going to be affected. You know, so again, if we're not putting God in the center of our lives, then everything else is going to have effect. Again, it's that domino effect of our life. So we have to feed our soul, feed our spirit, right? And then number 3, where and when do I start? You have to have a starting point that's manageable. You have to have a starting point that's doable, that is realistic. I'm going to do this change today. Maybe you can. But you have to look at, you know, again, what's doable. And it all makes sense as we look at the different steps on how to build and fill that spiritual void in your life, how to fill your soul, how to, again, build up that core. Again, if you're looking at the physical body, your core is what's going to determine a lot of your strength, right? Same thing when it comes to the entire whole wellness of living fully fit, is you work at your heart, your spirit, your soul. That's going to determine everything else, right? How your core is how it's going to determine how you function physically, how you function relationally, how you function with your mental status. So those things are all important, but here's the thing is, if you're not working on your soul, your spirit, the core of your being, it's going to affect everything else. So we have to look at those things, right? Again, manageable, obtainable, something that you can do, whether it's now or tomorrow, but you have it planned out, you have it thought out, and you have those first steps towards that direction. So here in a bit, we're going to go over some tricks, some tips, some ideas that can help benefit you to build your soul, to feed your soul. That's what we're talking about, is feeding your soul. And so my daughter gave me some really good ideas, and my son gave me some ideas, and so we're going to kind of use the ideas that my kids gave me, as well as some of the things and research I've done in my own life and seen other people do in their lives that helps feed your soul. That way you can connect with everything else and be the most fully fit person that you need to be. So as we're looking at spiritual fitness, I'm gonna go over, again, 6 steps to feeding our soul. I'd say first and foremost, we have to disconnect and reconnect. And what I mean by that is disconnect the distractions in our life. I mean, turn off the phone, put the phone away, turn off the TV, put away social media. All those things can be good, but not necessarily are. Because what ends up happening, they distract us, they fill our minds with garbage and junk, and it ends up adding more anxiety and depression and stress in our lives than we realize. So I would say disconnect, but then reconnect with something else. Reconnect with something a little bit healthier, something that's good for you. Music is a good outlet. You know, for me, I play music. I play guitar, I like to sing. That's a good outlet for me. Or sometimes when I don't feel like picking up the guitar, I'll put on some good soothing music. I'd recommend something that's soothing to you. Now, I don't think that probably listening to some hardcore screamo would be soothing. I mean, it can be, I guess. It depends on the personality. For me, not so much. It brings me back to my high school days of listening to Limp Bizkit Break Stuff. That doesn't really I don't think of soothing and peaceful when I listen to Break Stuff. I think I want to exactly do what it says, break stuff, right? So disconnect from things that are distracting, things that are stressful, and then reconnect. And that means also maybe you might need to disconnect from the crowd, disconnect from people, and then reconnect with yourself, with God, with a good book, with the Bible, or whatever it is that can help you feed your soul. Or maybe it is you're isolated, you're alone. Reconnect with people that feed your soul, people who are positive, people who are energizing, people who help you be a better you. So for me, like, a lot of people think that kids are draining, right? For me, my kids have never drained me. They're draining in one aspect, yes. But overall, what my kids do for me, they fill me up. They get me energized. Like the weekends I have my kiddos, honestly, I have more energy for my week. On the weekends I don't, if that makes sense. Just because of what kind of value they bring to my life. And so, again, think about what helps you feed your soul. Only you know. Everybody's wired and made different. What necessarily feeds my soul won't always feed your soul, but the concept and the baseline of disconnecting and reconnecting will help you feed your soul. So again, disconnect, reconnect. What do those mean for you, and how can you take that first step into feeding your soul? Step 2, breathe, pray, and meditate. So if you think about it in all reality, what controls our entire body is our mind, right? What controls our heart, our soul, again, everything is our mind. And so what we're looking at is how do we refocus and get into that state of mind that gives us peace and that fills our soul. And that's breathing. Starting with breathing, for instance. I don't know if you've ever heard of the concept of deliberate breathing. Have you ever thought about breathing? Like literally thought about breathing? No, because it comes naturally, right? We just breathe to breathe. But once you have that controlled, deliberate breathing, taking deep breaths through your gut, through your diaphragm, not through your chest, through your diaphragm. Take a moment, put some soft music on, turn off the lights, lay in bed. You know, make sure you have a straight posture, or if you're not laying in bed, hold your hand to your stomach, and then take some huge, deliberate breaths. Take about maybe 5 good, deliberate breaths. Just in through the nose, out through the mouth. As you're breathing in, let your stomach just kind of hang out like that little baby child. You know, if you watch a baby breathe, their stomach goes in and out then in, right? Out and in. They breathe the way we're supposed to breathe, the way we're meant to breathe. And when we have that controlled, deliberate breathing, we're able to kind of have a little bit of control of our bodies, a little bit of control of our mind, and have that little refocus. It helps bring oxygen to our blood, oxygen to our heart, and gets the blood flowing, and gets us into the right body and mindset, right? But then also you add on to some meditation, some prayer. You know, whether you're meditating on God, or meditating on the day, meditating on something peaceful and tranquil, and removing things out of your mind that are negative and toxic, and feeding your soul with what's right and good. If you read Colossians 3:2, it says specifically to set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. I think the reason why the writer writes that and gives us that instruction is it kind of goes on your day-to-day aspect. Not just always just thinking of God and not thinking of the world around you, but in the aspect of also, when we focus on the things around us all the time, which is a bunch of chaos. If you think about it, life is chaos. So when we start thinking things outside of ourselves, especially God, then we begin to feed our soul in a way that starts getting us back to a grounding, to a foundation. That way, again, like everything else connects, it brings us back into the centerfold. It brings us back to where we need to be. So again, focus your mind, breathe, pray, meditate. That's step number 2. So step 3 to this whole plan is change your environment. Maybe where you're at, maybe physically, especially like if you're in your house or at work, take a breather, step out of your comfort zone, get outside. Like right now, it's a beautiful day. Now, you don't always get a day like this all the time, but you might. And so take advantage of those moments when you can take a breather, when you can take a step outside of your office or outside of work or outside of your home or wherever you're at that's not giving you that clarity, that focus. Again, if we're talking about spiritual health, sometimes getting outside your environment, going for a hike, going for a walk, exploring something new and fresh and different than what you're usually doing, that's usually mundane routine, helps get us focused in that way that we can, again, feed our soul and reconnect, again, not only with nature, but with God who created nature. Well, after a nice long day of spending time with my kids, and we're back, and now I'm doing some laundry, so I'm gonna do some laundry while I'm actually making a video here. And we're going to talk about serve and give. Sometimes that's the biggest thing that helps feed our soul is giving back to someone, helping someone, serving someone without any intent of getting something back, right? That's what true servitude and being a servant leader is giving without anything in return. And so, it could be small and big. It could be something as small as when you're at the store, just giving someone a smile, treating someone with respect. Or, when you're at the line at Starbucks paying for the person behind you. I remember one time I was at a Buc-ee's getting gas, and if you don't know what a Buc-ee's is a very famous gas station here in Texas. And I was getting gas, and I was in uniform because I had just gone for work to go get my kids. And this guy had paid for my drinks and my snacks, and I didn't realize it. And that was just a really cool thing, Part of it I was in uniform, but mainly just because I was just a random act of kindness. And I bet you anything that guy left with some fulfillment in his soul, Again, that's fully fit spirit that we're talking about here, that food for the soul. And so, and take something like small like that. Sometimes, help picking up, doing the dishes for your parents.
Daddy, do you need help?
Yes, thank you so much. Something like that, where you see a need and you meet a need. Maybe it seems like small in the big scheme of things, but when we help someone, when we give back to someone, whether it's big or small, whether it's monetary or not, maybe it's just giving our time, maybe just listening to someone, being there for someone, giving someone a hug when you can obviously tell they need one. That's what it takes to fill our soul, especially. 5th step, how to feed your soul, forgive. I know this is a hard concept for some people, and I'm not saying you forget, I'm not saying you let yourself be doormat again. I'm saying forgiveness is a huge thing for our soul. And if you think about it, holding on to hate, holding on to resentment, holding on to those things that hold us back tend to poison our bodies, tend to poison our minds, tend to poison our emotions. And it affects everything. It's that domino effect like we talked about. And so find someone to forgive. You know who that is. Only you know who that is, you and God. And it goes down to that whole saying, that hate is like taking rat poison, expecting the rat to die. Again, if you have hate in your heart, if you have resentment, if you have an issue, go fix that issue. Go to that person and forgive them. And maybe that's not just audibly forgiving them. Maybe you have to recognize to them that you forgive them, but you have to forgive them in your heart especially. There's a Bible verse that talks about forgiveness in the sense that before you go experience God's blessing, before you worship God, It says to leave your offering at the altar and go find the person that you have fault with and go make it right with them. And then come back to the altar and bring your offering back to God. And so it's the kind of same thing. Before we move on in our life, before we find health and stability in our lives, we have to look at forgiveness. Forgiveness is a big factor in that. And so if you're not forgiving someone, if you're not letting go of those things, that tension, it's just gonna hurt you more than it hurts anyone else. And that's not gonna be good for your soul whatsoever. And lastly, the last step in all this is detox and replace. A lot of times, when we're looking at detoxing our minds, detoxing our spirit, think about the things that distract you, the things that obviously aren't good for your spirit, the things that aren't good for your soul. For example, what? Really? Come on, man. Really? Part of the detox isn't just detoxing, but also replacing it with something more constructive. Placing it with something more conducive to help you, not just taking something out of the equation, like, for instance, the Xbox or your cell phone or the internet or whatever it is that's distracting you, or those people in your life that is creating toxicity. And don't just remove those things or those people, but replace it with something more constructive, something more helpful, something more healthy. For example, perfect example right there. Anybody can just turn something off and just stay in their anger and then get back right into it. But do you replace it with something that's gonna be more beneficial to you? Like for me, again, I'm like Luke in the aspect that, when I'm taking something out of my mind or turning something off, I don't just turn that thing off. I replace it with something a little bit healthier. So I hope you enjoyed those 6 steps. Again, it's all gonna be dependent on your personality and what works for you. Some of those things might work for you, others might not. And so I know Emma kind of gave the inspiration for this segment of Living Fully Fit, the spirit. And I would say, use these steps. Again, 1, disconnect and reconnect. Disconnect from the world around you, reconnect with something better, right? Breathe, pray, meditate. Deliberate breathing, like we showed you, those techniques to how to breathe better. Have control of that breathing. 3, again, explore and change the environment around you. Get out of the house, get out of the office, whatever it takes. And then again, 4, the biggest one I think we tend to forget is to serve someone, give. Emma's big thing was, hey, we should do some acts of kindness. And that's going to be our thing. Our theme is we're going to be wanting to do more of that. The more we give, the more we feed ourselves in all reality. The more we give, the more we get, if you think about it. And then 5, forgive. You're dealing with something that hurt you or someone that hurt you, forgive, right? And then last but not least, detox. Remove something that's not helping you and replace it with something that can.
Oh, and second, these 2 ideas were mine.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed the video. This weekend, all the segments with my kids. Tomorrow we're going to look at some physical fitness aspects.
Working out.
Some working out stuff. Some living fully fit, the body. And again, if you like what you're watching and you're enjoying it, go ahead and subscribe down below. Also check out my Facebook page, Living Fully Fit. Just type in Living Fully Fit on Facebook. Like the page, share it with other people. We're putting a lot of different posts and tips and tricks and ideas on there to help you, help a loved one, help someone you know. That's the whole point of this Living Fully Fit program, is to help people. We're not doing this for monetary reasons to make a profit. We're doing this only for the sheer reason is to help people. So enjoy, again, subscribe. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.